Okay, we are in Excel skill 2.7 using absolute and relative references. Very important skill to learn. Basically there's two different kinds of references, absolute and relative, and the way they work is, we saw before when I copied from one cell to another, the formula is adjusted, and that's what's called a relative reference. When you copy a formula, it moves the value. So if I were to copy from cell B8 here into C8, all of the rows, or the columns, excuse me, that I reference would be incremented by 1. So if I had a value in here, let's just put a value in here. I'm going to put both relative and an absolute reference in. So I'm going to say we're going to put the interest rate in there, which is B4, and this is a absolute reference, and I'm going to multiply that by B7. The B7 is a relative reference. So there is the calculation. If I were to copy this over, my relative reference is going to adjust. So basically what I said there was, when I copy it over, any of the columns that are relative references, the B here, is going to be incremented by 1 because I copied it one cell to the right. So you can see the B becomes a C. Now with absolute references, what we do is we put a $ before the B and a $ before the 4. And what that tells Excel is, when I copy this, don't change the value of that reference. So you see, as I copied that over, we're looking at B4 stays there because my percentage doesn't move along. Now what I could do is put 5%, 5%, and then I wouldn't need to use the absolute reference, but you want to get skilled at using the absolute and the relative references. This is a good example because it uses both. So you can see, as I copy it over, I copy this over, and now the formula is D7. Over here it's E7, but the B4 always stays the same. You put the $ before the row or the column or both that you want to keep as an absolute reference. There's a mixed reference, which is where just one of the either the row or the column remains absolute. That's, if you can wrap your head around that, that's good. Really, most of the time you're going to be doing either just an absolute reference for a cell or just a relative reference, but you will use them both together in a formula. So that's absolute and relative references. Again, the $ go before the column and the row number and letter on an absolute reference, and they go, you leave them off on a relative reference, and the relative reference will be then adjusted as you copy that cell or that formula into the other cells. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. Please let me know if it is, and I will try to get you better examples. It is important that you know these. Your code word for this lesson is going to be walk, W-A-L-K.